Hey, what's going on? I'm Matt O'Leary back with another video, and today we will be talking about the New York Jets and the New York Giants playing a football game this Saturday. Football is back, and I am pumped up. Before we get started, just wanted to say you can follow me on social media at Matt O'Leary NY. If you haven't already, you can also subscribe to the Just Jets podcast wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Let's jump into it. So last year in 2020, there was no preseason for, well, obvious reasons. There was a pandemic going on, and they didn't want to have a preseason and potentially expose players to COVID when there, wasn't any meaning behind it. And the training camps were different, protocols were different, but now it is back with a slight alteration. So no more is it 4 preseason games and 16 regular season games. Instead, it is 3 preseason games and 17 regular season games. So things will be a little bit different, but I would anticipate, which is where I wanted to start, the New York Jets starters, especially on offense, will likely play a quarter. If I had to guess, I'm going to say Zach Wilson will play a quarter of this game, the first quarter. So that means probably a couple of drives. Maybe he goes into the second if for whatever reason, let's say the Giants go on a long scoring drive and Zach Wilson really only had one possession early on. Unless something bizarre happens, I'm going to say it's probably a quarter, no more than a half. I think week 2 is when you're going to see the starters go for like a half, and you'll see Zach Wilson play for a longer period of time. But in the preseason, I would anticipate seeing the starters for a quarter. From the Jets side, what I am looking for, the first thing, is how does Zach Wilson look in game situations? Yes, we saw him at the green and white scrimmage, but that's essentially another practice. And Robert Saleh said before that it wasn't like real tackling, and if you were there, it was basically 11 on 11 practice. That's what it was. So this is the first real game action that we'll see. And again, if he plays well or if he plays poorly is not going to define what he is going to do in his career, but it would still be nice to see, okay, where is he at? And how does it translate from the practice field where he's been up and down, some good days, some bad days? He also had a really good quote yesterday where he was talking about practice and trying things that he normally wouldn't and making throws that he normally wouldn't in games. And I kind of like that answer because he's kind of learning like, hey, I could take this, or can I not take this risk? And you'd rather him do that in practice versus an actual game. So don't get so caught up in the box score stats of a practice or a green and white scrimmage. Let's watch and see how he progresses in the preseason. That's the first thing that I'm looking forward to. The second thing is the wide receiver group. How do they rotate in? If I had to guess, I'm going to say it's probably going to be Corey Davis, Elijah Moore, and Jamison Crowder with some Keelan Cole mixed in as well. We talked about Denzel Mims a ton on Twitter and right here on the YouTube channel, but supposedly he said yesterday in talking with the media that he lost 20 pounds due to food poisoning. That was the sickness he was out. So we are #done with salmon. He had salmon, got sick, lost 20 pounds. If you are a real Jets fan, you're going to give up salmon. Just kidding, but that was kind of the gimmick on Twitter today. Anyway, that's why he started slow. He's going to get eased back in. He's too talented of a player not to, and we'll probably talk about Denzel Mims more in depth in another video. But ultimately, how do they rotate the receivers? How do the receivers look? All that different stuff I'm excited to see. And again, the Giants have a pretty good secondary, so we'll see how they fare against that. And then on the defensive side of the ball, I want to see the pass rush because John Franklin Myers and Carl Lawson have had really, really good camps. So I want to see, is it just against the Jets, who are maybe struggling in pass protection a little bit right now, or are they going to be like this all year long? And I lean more towards the latter there, but I would like to see it in action. And again, you can't read too much into these preseason games, but it's still nice to see, and it's the closest thing you'll get to actual gameplay in the regular season. In the secondary, I would imagine that Bryce Hall and Bless Austin are going to be the starting corners. I've been extremely impressed with Bryce Hall so far in training camp, so I want to see him in some real-time action. Again, probably going up against a pretty solid wide receiver group. And I know Kenny Galladay is probably not going to play. Don't expect Saquon Barkley to play, but they still have some formidable weapons on the outside, so we'll see how they do there. And Bless Austin on the other side, he's another one who's had, I thought, an up-and-down training camp, but let's see if he could really solidify his spot as a starter. Right now, it seems to be that he is the favorite, and we'll see how he does in his first action against the Giants. for what the Jets are going up against, they are going up against the team without Saquon Barkley. And again, it's not like I'm going to break down like, oh, the Jets have to win this game. It's preseason. Like, relax, pump the brakes. I don't care what the final score is or any of that stuff. But it's going to be a team without Saquon Barkley. Their offensive line is not great. I would say the Giants have the worst offensive line in the league. Daniel Jones has a lot to prove this year. There's going to be a ton of pressure on him. But on the opposite side of the ball, their defense is really good, and I'm impressed with the job that Patrick Graham did last year. They were 9th in the league in total defense last year. Their secondary is really solid, so we'll see how they do there. And if, like Zach Wilson or any of the quarterbacks, really, but we really care the most about the first-teamers, how they do in situations against a really good defense and a really good defensive coordinator. So I'm just excited that football's back. Let me know in the comments down below some of the things that you're looking for in this game. What should we be looking for? I'll have post-game coverage from upstate New York. Yes, I'm going away this weekend, and I convinced the girlfriend to let me watch preseason football. We're going to watch it together. And yeah, that'll be cool. So thank you so much for tuning in today. Please make sure to subscribe if you're new. I'll talk to you next time.